On to the knight, but since we got taken here, I want to see the rune priest really quickly, although we covered that a couple of weeks ago. So very quickly, the rune priest, now it's called rune scribe, and it has three specializations. It has a rune priest, which is heal. It has rune smith, which is defensive support, and then you have rune lord, which is offensive support. This is the healer class, okay, and the mechanic is very simple. You have, 4 gods. You use a spell to heal somebody from one of the gods, then you lock that category. You can't cast any other spell from that god. You got the next one, then unlocks, go back, and you do that circle. So you have to be really careful when you use your spells. You can't just spam them, because you lock the entire tree of that god spells. Then defensive support, you just have more shields and augments to help your group. And if I remember correctly, offensive support, you just give buffs to your group mates that do more damage. This one buffs that defend, buffs that increase the damage of the group, a little bit more utility. No static healers in this game. But I'll just put down the, I just can put down the link as well, guys, so you can go to the builder yourselves and you can check out any class available at the moment. I suppose we can pin that on the top as well, so you can go and check it out yourselves. It's not something that's not public, it's out there, so I'll put the link on the top there so you guys can click it and go and have a look yourself. All right, the knight. Now here's the thing, knowing a little bit about how the knight works on Return of Reckoning, I want to see, because so far in Return of Reckoning, and until they do any more changes that they say they're going to do with the new ability system or not, the Knight of the Blazing Sun as a DPS tank is still the lowest on the DPS. Still hits like a wet noodle. Let's go and see what we have here. So the Knight has 3 hard specializations: Order of the Broken Sword, Order of Glinting Steel, and Order of the Blazing Sun. 2 tanks and 1 offensive support. So let's see what the difference is. We have 2 tanks here. Okay, the first 2 specializations. Third one, offensive support. I'm assuming more buffs for damage. Grenadier for the win. I don't know. When and if this server comes out, and I hope soon, I'll be playing the tank engineer. Now there is a tank engineer. There is a tank marauder, a tank lion, a tank slayer. There is healing with self. There is a tank engineer. So I'll be playing that one to start off with, then we'll see. Anyways, let's focus on the Empire today. Knight, Order of the Broken Sword. Let's see, mandate, passive. You have maximum of 100 mandate. You gain 1 mandate per second. You will lose 2 mandate whenever you take direct damage. 1 second turn cooldown. Direct damage. Even AoE is direct damage. Some AoEs anyways. Strike, basic attack, deals 4% melee attack power, 30 piercing damage to target enemy, generates 22 action points. On your guard. This one costs 35 mandate. Groupmates within 100 feet gain a blessing for 8 seconds. For the duration, they will have the block enhanced, block chance increased by 35%. Groupmates with 100 feet gain an enchantment for 60 seconds. For the duration, they will gain 1 stack of enhanced toughness every 10 seconds. Yeah, of course you can, Tibbs. Yes, you're always welcome. So for 35 mandates, you can increase block to your friendlies and increase their toughness. Toughness reduces damage. Block, reminder, for those that haven't seen us talk about Interbellum again, block is for every class. It does not require a shield. Everybody can block. Okay, every single class has block. Tanks with a shield just have a lot better chances of blocking than everybody else, but block works pretty much like, dodge. So everybody can block. So enhancing by 35% the chance to block is a great buff to give. Vicious Slash. Deal 21% melee attack power and 280 piercing damage to target enemy. No cooldown, 8 feet, 36 action points. So you can build action points with strike, and then you can do with vicious slash. You can alternate and play with that. Interbellum uses a lot of resource management in every class. So you can't spam a lot of things unless you learn how to masterfully manage your mechanics. So just to give you an idea, pretty much every class is like a warrior priest or a dog that you have to manage 2 resources. Guard applies guard to target group mate while you are within 30 feet of them. They will gain 50% of your armor, resistances, and block. You will lose these stats for the duration and for 5 seconds after the effect is broken. So just to remind ourselves that that guard doesn't work like it did in the original game or Return of Reckoning. You don't absorb 50% of the damage. You lose, as a tank, you lose armor, resistance, and block, and you give that to your defending target. So you amplify their stats. So as long as you stay next to them, they have increased stats. If you move away, that's it. So them being hit has nothing to do with you. You don't take extra damage, but in effect you do, because you just lost armor, block, and resistances. But if someone is not actually physically targeting you, you're not going to take any damage. So it works a little bit different. Crippling Blow deals 70% melee attack power, 227 impact damage, and applies ensnared and momentum to the target. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same. Guard is the same in all the classes, yes. I'm just reminding because it's been a while since we've seen the tanks. So this is your slow and snare. To victory. This one, 35 mandate. Group mates with 100 feet gain a blessing for 8 seconds. For the duration, they will have 1 second faster cast times. Group mates within 100 feet gain an enchantment for 60 seconds. For the duration, they will gain 50% pushback immunity. So you have 1 buff for increasing armor resistances, block. Sorry, not that one. My bad. Sorry. Where is it? This one. Sorry. So you can increase block chance and enhanced toughness, so defensive buffs, aura, and then you have this one for the casters for faster cast times and pushback immunity. Only Discord at the moment, unfortunately. Only Discord, but everything they have released publicly, you can find it on my website. I'll give you a link to my website because I have everything there. So if you go, so if you go on my website up here, you can find this, or you can go here where it says Interbellum pre-launch. If you click that, then everything they have released, it's here. Everything is here, along with videos or whatever. But also on the front page, it scrolls on the top. So if you like something, you can have a look at it. No worries. That's why I'm here. Help you guys out. I mean, these games are private servers that don't have a lot of exposure, you know, they're not on Steam and whatever. So I do what I can so we can all have some fun. All right, moving on. We've seen to victory. Repel, 50 action points, knocks the enemy away and applies immovable. That's your punt. Perseverance. You gain a blessing for 10 seconds. Each time you are attacked, you will gain 10 action points and gain 1 stack of enhanced armor. So, nice little blessing, increases your toughness as a tank. Going down to the racial tactics, let's see if we have anything different here. Whenever you use the basic attack, all group mates within 100 feet of you have this tactic will gain 300 absorb for 3 seconds. This is racial, so if you have a bright wizard and tank, or let's say a warrior priest and a tank, and they both have this, warrior priest uses basic attack, both the warrior priest and the tank take 300 shields. The tank uses a basic attack, both the tank and that gets another 300, that's 600 shields. And if you have a witch hunter, that's 900 shields. And if you have a bright wizard, that's 1200 shields every time they use the basic attack. So, and they are within range. So it's a nice additive effect. However, you do waste 1 tactic if you can consider that a waste. Sigmund's favorite. Whenever you receive a direct heal, you will also be healed for 120 plus 8% wounds, amplifying your healing that you receive. Well trained, that's new. Vicious Slash will now apply an alignment to the target for 6 seconds, which stacks up to 3 times. For the duration, deals 8% melee attack power and 114 Igor damage to the target, and generates 1 mandate to caster every 2 seconds. Okay. Bellow commands. Abilities that spend mandate will generate 125 action points for you. Strike no longer generates action points. Ooh. Weapon aptitude. Knights of the Broken Sword equip one-handed swords and shields. Hedgehog. Morale 1. All group mates with 100 feet gain 3 stacks of enhanced block. Champion challenge. The typical morale 2. You remember the little fence around somebody can move for 10 seconds and you beat him up. Distracting Bellow. Morale 3. Up to 48 enemies within 30 feet of you receive a debuff. For 10 seconds, they cannot benefit from cover. Basically, that is a nice combination here, right? So this can be used when we are in a funnel seed situation. You do your morale 3 as a tank, right? 2 people, 30 feet, you run into the enemy lines. So if the other tanks are using hold the line to create cover, it doesn't get applied, and then you can use your Zerg boxing abilities without a problem. So the tanks with this have an amazing and very important job to do. Removing cover so everybody else can use their Zerg boxing abilities. Immaculate Defense, morale 4, group mates with 100 feet gain 25 stacks of a buff for 20 seconds. 8 stacks grants 3% damage reduction. A stack is removed each time they're attacked by an ability. 4 additional stacks are removed if the ability is single target. So it can last a long time. Third line, as usual, we have the stat increase, willpower, strength, weapon skill, etc. Loyalty to the Empire, passive. You gain 1 mandate each time you spend action points or use strike. So you can buff that to be 3 mandates. So strike will generate action points and mandate if you put 3 points in that. I'm just going to put some more to unlock the next line. Stabilized career tactic. Increase your mass by 1. That's pretty standard for all tanks. Mass is the statistic that controls the effectiveness of crowd control. Gilded Shield, passive. Whenever you cast on your guard, all group mates with 100 feet of you will gain 1 stack of enhanced armor, and you can make that 2 stacks. Really defensive so far, the Broken Sword. This gives toughness, block enhancements, armor enhancements, more stats, strength, intelligence. Stay focused. 35 mandate. Group mates within 100 feet gain a blessing for 8 seconds. For the duration, they will gain 20% healing received, increasing healing by 20%. Group mates with 100 feet gain an enchantment for 60 seconds. For the duration, they will gain 1 stack of enhanced willpower every 10 seconds. I'm assuming willpower is still being used for healing. So you're not only increasing by 20% the healing received for all group mates within range, you also enhance the healers to do even more. So that's pretty much like 3 auras. Here is split into buffs and enchantments, but effectively that's the auras you have to rotate. And you don't have a cooldown, but your rotation is controlled by how much mandate you have, because each one of them is 35, and you got to build that up. So you have to be constantly in combat. Not just in combat, because you have to be using skills to generate the mandate, as far as I know. You gain 1 mandate per second. You will lose 2 mandates whenever you take direct damage. So it's built passively, but if you get hit, you lose it. You have to use it properly and be in combat. Sorry, you don't have to be in combat, because it doesn't say you have to be in combat. It's just how it works. Some skills, because I'm used to, you know, you build a mechanic, you have to be in combat. You don't have to be in combat. You build 1 every second, and you lose 2 if you get direct damage. AoE is also direct damage. But you have to use it wisely. It takes a while to build. So next line, we've seen that one. More statistics here. Strength, intelligence, stay focused, we've seen it. Shadow Confidence, morale 1. Remove up to 3 enchantments and 1 blessing from the target. 3 enchantments. Now, seriously though, now that I've seen this, right, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to a very sensitive little topic here, Rampage, right? If that morale existed on Return of Reckoning, Rampage and enchantment, all right, we'll just remove 3 enchantments altogether and blessing on the front, and we don't give a shit. You're gone. A mandated defense, career tactic. You will no longer lose mandate whenever you are attacked. So you just only build it. You don't have to worry about direct damage or anything, but you do lose one tactic slot. Slice through, another career tactic. Crippling blow will now apply to up to 2 other enemies within 20 feet. AoE cripple. Engage, passive. Enemies that you deal direct damage to will have their outgoing damage reduced by 2% for 5 seconds. So if you put all the points on this one, you reduce outgoing damage by 6% for 5 seconds. Wounds, then we got distract, 40 action points, jumps the target for the next 3 seconds, interrupting the next ability cast, and as a little interrupt. Also, that one, if you pick it, you can unlock improved distract tactic. Distract will now work on up to 23 additional enemies within 20 feet of the target, as long as those targets do not have cover. So you have an AoE interrupt ability up to 24 people in 20 feet. In command, morale 2 generates 100 mandate. I suppose an instant fill of your mandate. If you're in trouble, do that. Apply the auras. Let's put some points to unlock the next line. Staying in power. Staying power. Sorry, I thought it was to be in power, but okay. Career tactic. Reduce the cooldown of perseverance and vigilance by 50%. Okay. Improve vicious slash. So you can get that up to reduce the action point cost of vicious slash by 6. 6. It costs 36. It goes down to 30. If I don't play the game, I don't know if that's worth it. To glory. Cost 35 mandate. Group mates within 100 feet gain a blessing for 8 seconds. For the duration, they will gain 15 adrenaline regen. Group mates with 100 feet gain an enchantment for 60 seconds. For the duration, they will gain 2 AP regen. So morale and AP regen. Fourth, let's say aura, because we're used to that term. Will to survive, passive. You gain 5% damage reduction while under the effect of perseverance. Oof. Nice. Perseverance, no cost, 20 seconds cooldown. You gain a blessing for 10 seconds. Each time you're attacked, you will gain 10 action points and gain 1 stack of enhanced armor. So as long as you cast this, it has a 20-second cooldown. You also gain 25% damage reduction while that is active. So it's a combo. Next one, Dirty Tricks, another career tactic. Whenever you block an attack, 2 group mates within 100 feet gain 1 stack of enhanced fortitude. Hold the line, passive. Group mates with 50 feet behind you have cover from all enemies up to 100 feet in front of you. Cover reduces the damage of area of effect attacks by 25%, in addition to providing immunity to some effects. Some effects being the zero-busting abilities, that most of them don't work if you are behind cover. There's other abilities that don't work if you don't have cover, but that is the main one. Some classes have some abilities that could be single target or small area. You can't use them if the enemy is under cover. Well, band together, passive. Group mates within 30 feet of you will have the damage reduction increased by 2%. This effect is suppressed for 5 seconds whenever you are hit by a single target ability. This is a very standard tactic, a skill for tanks. Every tank has this one. So basically, when you're 30 feet from somebody, which is also the guard range, you increase their damage reduction, how much damage they receive. You reduce that by 10%, and that holds for 5 seconds. It stops working for 5 seconds if you take single target damage. That one is, since I want to play tank myself, the engineer tank, I'm still debating about this skill, because if AoE counts as direct damage, then sorry, not direct damage, single target ability. This is something I think a lot of tanks will have. But I don't know how useful it is. Just need every 5 seconds somebody to do a single target ability to reduce that, to remove that. But that means that for that 1 second plus cooldown, they're not attacking somebody else. So now if you're a tank, you cannot be ignored. You know, like we used to go, okay, leave the tank for the end, you know, spun him away, whatever. Now you just can't have them ignored, because they're actively giving even more damage reduction to everybody around them. Someone has to focus them single target. So everybody, no one is getting ignored on this version. Emperor's Champion, morale 3, you gain a buff for 20 seconds, you gain 250 ballistics, intelligence, strength. Masochist. Ooh, well, if you're attacking, you want to say hit me, hit me. Renowned tactic. Whenever you are attacked while your guard is active, you will gain 15 adrenaline per second for 3 seconds. So guarding people has a benefit for you. Coordination. All of your abilities cost 5 less mandate. Bind weapon. 30 action points, 10-second cooldown. Applies disarmed and invisible to the target. So you get a disarm. Haven't seen a we've seen a punt, we've seen a disarm. I haven't seen a knockdown yet. Not that you really need a knockdown, but Rush of Command. You generate 1 adrenaline per second for each passive effect of mandate you cast. Sorry, I've read this completely wrong. You generate 1 adrenaline per second for each passive effect of mandate you cast that are active on you. Okay, so suppose you cast use skills that have mandate that buff you, for example, the auras, and then you gain more morale points. Adrenaline is the new name for morale. Summon the Electric Counts, morale 4. All group mates and up to 18 allies within 100 feet of you gain the blessing effects from all of your mandates. Alright, so all 4 mandates, aka auras, are activated instantly with morale 4 for all your group mates and 18 allies, so pretty much 3/4 of a warband, right? Pretty powerful if you ask me. Stand Strong, 35 mandate. Group mates within 100 feet gain the blessing for 8 seconds. For the duration, they will have their action point cost reduced by 50%. Group mates within 100 feet gain an enchantment for 60 seconds. For the duration, they will gain 450 heal per second, per 4 seconds. So that's the 4 mandates to be activated at the same time with morale 4. I suppose we gotta make a choice though, like that one as a morale 4, or do you get Immaculate Defense? Get 2 knights on a group? Get both. Alright, Emperor's Fury, Zerg Blasting ability, 150 action points, 2 seconds, cast. You apply Staggered and Unstoppable to up to 48 enemies within 30 feet in front of you. This effect does not apply to targets that have cover from you. Staggered prevents the character from moving from 9 seconds or until they're attacked. So suppose you can use that ability and stagger all the enemy tanks in front. So if they're staggered, they can provide cover for everybody else. Then your DPS and your healers can use their Zerg Blasting abilities and kill the enemy. Question is, who's going to do that first? Alright, so the Order of the Broken Sword is the Knight of the Blazing Sun, as we know him from the previous versions of the game. Tank, 4 auras, now called Mandate. You have to build up Mandate points to use them to buff your friendlies. Nice morals, they increase a lot of the toughness, block, they give you casting time, immunities for the casters, AP, heal regeneration. So it's an overall nice, fully defensive tank for both him, herself, and the group and the warband. So that is the first hard specialization for the knight. Second one is also a tank. It's called Order of the Glinting Steel. Most of the things we're going to skip because, as you can see, is pretty much the same here. We got Bind Weapon, which we had it somewhere else on the other. It's down here, which is the Disarm. You get this on this specialization. You get it straight up on your starting skills. Repel, that's your punt. Press the Attack, that's new. Cost 35 mandate. Groupmates with 100 feet gain a blessing for 8 seconds. For the duration, the chance to critically hit is increased by 15%. Also, they get an enchantment for 60 seconds. For the duration, they gain 1 stack of enhanced strength. So this gives strength and critical chance. All right, compared to defensive ones now, this tank, the mandates seem to be, we'll go further down, we'll say, seem to be more offensive. Perseverance is your standard reduced damage coming in. Emperor's Ward is the same. Sigma Favor is the same. Well Trained is the same. Bellow commands are the same. This tank, however, it uses two-handed swords. Order of the Broken Sword is sword and shield. This guy is two-handed swords. Hedgehog, morale 1. All group mates gain 3 stacks of enhanced block. Champion challenge is the same. You block somebody with a little fence around them. You beat the living crap out of them. Distracting Bellow. Morale 3, the same. Immaculate Defense, the same. And this is where we start seeing the differences between the two tanks. Will of the Emperor, it's a passive. You gain 2 mandate whenever you cast Bind Weapon, Crippling Blow, Repel, or Smash. So you can get 6 mandate to use your mandates / auras a lot faster. And it's pretty much basic stuff though, isn't it? So Bind Weapon is your disarm. Repel is your punt. Where's the punt? Repel, 50 action points. Okay, you get 300 of those, so it's plenty. And Smash. Crippling Blow, the slow, Smash, Strike. All right, we'll find it. It could be in another build or another tree. So because they're common, sometimes they have all the descriptions there. Next line, Stabilized, increase your mass by 1. This is standard for all the tanks. Outmaneuver, passive. Whenever you use press the attack, all group mates with 100 feet will gain 1 stack of enhanced penetration or 1 stack of enhanced sagacity. So you can do that twice. So 1 stack of enhanced penetration, armor penetration that is, damage penetration in general for physical stuff, and 1 stack of enhanced sagacity, that is removing elemental resistances in general. More stats here. Glorious Assault, 35 mandate. So another aura in this one for 8 seconds. Up to 9 enemies within 30 feet of them will take 3% melee attack power and 40 elemental damage every 2 seconds. And in addition, an enchantment that goes to everybody in your group for 100 feet. Each time they deal damage with a basic attack, they will deal 3% melee attack power and 40 impact damage. So another offensive mandate for the group. Shatter Confidence, morale 1 is the same as before. You shatter 3 enchantments and 1 blessing from the target. Mandated Defense, you no longer lose mandate when you are attacked. Because you lose 2 mandate every time you take direct damage, and you build 1 passively. Slice Through, Crippling Blow will now apply up to 2 other enemies within 20 feet, so you get an AoE cripple. More stats here. Engage. Enemies that you deal direct damage will have their outgoing damage reduced by 2%. You can buff that all the way up to 6%. Distract, same as before. You interrupt the abilities and you can unlock the tactic that will affect 23 people 20 feet of your target. So you get an AoE interruption. In command, generate 100 mandate instantly. That is a morale 2. Let's put some points. Predominance, another career tactic. You take 15% less damage against enemies with immovable, inevitable, or unstoppable. So basically, anybody that has been recently CC'd and you cannot be CC'd again, they deal 50% less damage to you. Improved Vicious, let's pick that one. Improved Vicious Slash, passive. Reduce the action point cost of Vicious Slash by maximum 6 if you put all the points. I don't think that's worth it. Stay Focused, another mandate, aura. Group mates with 100 feet gain a blessing for 8 seconds. For the duration, they will gain 20% healing received. Same as the aura that the Broken Sword has. And enchantment for 60 seconds, they will gain 1 stack of enhanced willpower every 10 seconds. So basically, incoming heal increased by 20%, and you also increase willpower for everybody, including the healers, so even more healing. Will to Survive. Same as in the Broken Sword hard specialization, you gain 5% damage reduction while under the effects of Perseverance, which is up here. It's a great combo because you get, every time you attack, you gain 10 action points and 1 stack of enhanced armor. So the more they hit you, the tougher you get. Only lasts 10 seconds, cooldown 20, and you can reduce the incoming damage an extra 25 with this. Definitely worth it for a tanky tank. Vicious Authority, career tactic. Vicious Last will now apply 5-second debuff to target enemy. The next bind weapon, repel, or smash used against this target will also apply up to 8 enemies within 30 feet. So basically use this tactic. You do one attack, you give a debuff. So if you want to do a punt, it's going to be an AoE punt. If you want to do disarm, it's AoE disarm. I don't think there's AoE disarm in Age and Return of Reckoning. But this looks like it makes that an AoE disarm, AoE punt, and whatever smashes. I think it's going to be on the support because we haven't seen an ability called smash. Combat Treatise, passive. The cooldowns on bind weapon and smash are reduced by 3 seconds. So your disarm goes down. How much is the disarm? Anyways, 10 seconds minus... What? Are reduced by 10 seconds. So if you use that one maxed out, no cooldown on disarm. No cooldown on disarm, but don't forget the immunities of 20 seconds or whatever it is still applied. So, but you can change targets, I suppose. You go disarm, 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 disarm. If you have enough action points. Vanguard, another passive. Whenever you use a command, you will gain 1 mass for 2 seconds. And you can get that up to 8 seconds. Emperor's Champion, gain a buff for 20 seconds. Same as before, you gain 250 ballistic, intelligence, and strength. Masochist is the same. Coordination. All your abilities cost 5 less mandate. Smash, there we go. There is Smash. They've been looking for it. 60 action points, instant cast, 8 feet range, 20 seconds cooldown. Applies knockdown to the target enemy. There we go. So here we get a cooldown of smash and bind. So knockdown becomes 10 seconds from 20. Suppose that one is a mast. It seems like CC is fairly important in Interbellum. Chivalry, another passive. Whenever you use a command, you will gain 1 stack of Chivalry. Chivalry causes an attack made against groupmates within 30 feet of you to be redirected to you. Counts as a guard effect. So you can take the damage from people around you in 30 feet. It's not from one person. Please note this. Chivalry causes an attack made against groupmates within 30 feet to be redirected to you. It's passive. I don't have enough points, so let me just take some out to max it out. So it comes to you, so you can draw the attack, the damage to you. Some of the electro counts. This is where all groupmates and up to 18 allies gain all your blessings at once, all your auras or your mandates. It's a morale 4. So this is where the tank has to make a choice between morale 4 giving all the auras at the same time, or using immaculate defense for reducing damage. Suppose 2 knights together kick ass. Defend the weak, 35 mandate. That's the 4th aura, I think. You gain 15 stacks of Chivalry for at least 8 seconds. Chivalry causes an attack made against groupmates within 30 feet of you to be redirected to you. Counts as a guard effect. Interesting. Crimfu, thank you very much for the follow. Appreciate it. All right, Emperor's Fury is the same as this one. Is the one you do AoE stagger 30 feet in front of you. As long as you don't have cover from you. This is your Zerg busting ability. I mean, it doesn't really bust any Zerg, but it does help you to remove cover so everybody else can deal damage. So basically, in a nutshell, the difference between playing a knight with the specialization Order of the Broken Sword to a knight Order of the Glittering Steel. The first one, Broken Sword, is full defensive, giving defensive auras. The Order of the Glittering Steel is still a tank, same effect, but instead of having defensive auras, or mandates as they're called here, it has more offensive, increases your strength, dealing damage, absorbing damage, so you take more damage and stuff like that. So that's the difference. You want to have a more aggressive profile, 200, but still a tank. You just buff everybody else to do damage. And if you want to be a tank, you go with Broken Sword. The third hard specialization for the knight is Order of the Blazing Sun, which is an offensive support. So let's see a little bit the differences here as well. The first two lines, as always, is pretty much what you start with, and most of the times are the same, but it looks like here we have some differences. Mandate stays the same, strike is the same. Press for attack, that doesn't exist on Broken Sword, it is on Glittering Steel. Vicious Slash, Cleansing Blade, new one. Movement skill, 45 action points. Dispel one enchantment from target enemy, dispel one alignment from yourself. So cleanse yourself, debuff the enemy. Blazing Blade, 50 action points. Applies an alignment to target enemy for 9 seconds. For the duration, target takes 18% melee attack power and 248 elemental damage every 3 seconds. Okay, not bad. Smash, oh, we get the knockdown, Glittering Steel, get it on the bottom of the tree. This comes as a default. To Victory, another mandate. This one gives you, for 8 seconds, faster casting times, and for 60 seconds, you gain 50% pushback for the whole group. Vigilance, that is your detaunt. We haven't seen detaunt on the other two because they're tanks that don't have detaunt. But Vigilance, you will receive 50% less damage, but your outgoing damage is also reduced by 90%. So basically you do fuck all damage. So if you're going to use that, you can use that on enemy A and try and nuke enemy B. If you use that, it's just to save your life. You're not dealing any damage. Tactics are the same, as far as I can tell here, because we've already seen it. This specialization uses two-handed sword as well, the same as the Glittering Steel. So suppose seeing a offensive tank to an offensive support, it will look exactly the same holding the swords, because they use two-handed swords, and these guys are short and board. Serve Nerve, the typical morale one for most DPS, 50% melee attack power, 400 piercing damage to the target. Broad Swings makes your single target abilities AoE, hitting 2 additional targets. Force of Will, morale 3. All group mates with 100 feet gain a buff for 10 seconds, action point reduced by 75%. Frozen Slaughter, morale 4. All group mates with 100 feet gain a buff for 15 seconds to plus 40 outgoing damage and 50% reduced cooldown for the duration. So far, this feels as an offensive support. More as a DPS setup because of Serve Nerve, outgoing damage and morale 4, Broad Swings, you get knocked down early on, dispelling enchantments and dispelling alignments from yourself. Moving on, we get Loyalty to the Empire. Passive, you gain 1 mandate each time you spend action points, and you can go all the way up to 4. Here we have more stats. Being an offensive support still falls under the tank category, so they give him the movement speed as the DPS get, but you lose mass. Reminder for the new guys that are joining us, mass is the statistic that controls CC. The higher it is, the less duration. The higher it is, less chances to get hit. The lower it is, easier and longer durations. So it's imperative tanks have high mass. But on Interbellum is always a give and take. So you take speed, you lose mass, you get mass, you lose speed, or something else. Strength here, intelligence. I'm just clicking random just to move to the next line. To Glory, another mandate. A blessing for 8 seconds for the group. For the duration, 15 adrenaline regen. And for 60 seconds alignment duration, you'll gain 2 AP. So morale pump and AP pump on this aura/mandate. Shot of Confidence remains the same. Remove 3 enchantments and 1 blessing. This is a morale 1. Crippling Burns tactic. Blazing Blade is now a cripple. Protect others. Cleansing Blade will now dispel an alignment from your defensive target in addition to yourself. So you can use that. I don't think a lot of people will be using that, but it depends how many buffs and debuffs are going to be in the game at the end of it when it launches. Improves Blazing Blade. You can put 4 points on that. Blazing Blade deals 32% additional damage, and just to remind us what that does, applies an alignment to target enemy for 9 seconds. For the duration, the target takes 18% melee attack power and 248 elemental damage every 3 seconds. So you can make that 32% stronger. Perseverance. It's 1, but also unlocks the tactic. The best defense is a good offense. Career tactic. Perseverance no longer grants stacks of armor. Instead, it will grant 1 stack of enhanced penetration and 1 stack of enhanced sagacity. Nice. So instead of having a blessing for 10 seconds, which each time you're attacked, you will gain 10 action points and gain 1 stack of enhanced armor. Pretty defensive. Action points to act and more armor. You switch that into an offensive with tactic and you gain penetration and sagacity. Sagacity, you reduce enemy resistances within range. In command, morale 2. Sorry, I missed that one. It's a morale 2, gives you 100 mandate, so you can go instantly on reusing your auras again. Let's get some points here. Staying power, reduces the cooldown of perseverance and vigilance. Improve vigilance. Vigilance now only reduces your outgoing damage 75. Personally, I wouldn't put points to this. I mean, if you're going to detone somebody and you can do damage, 90% reduction outgoing damage to 75, I don't really see the point. You're not really going to affect anybody, I think. Continued pressure. Career tactic. The blessing effect of Glorious Assault is increased by 4 seconds. Oh, Glorious Assault also unlocks Improved Assault, which increases the damage by 15% maximum if you want to. Emperor Champion we've seen. Break Loose, renowned tactic. Movement skills you use will now remove ensnared and rooted from you. Oh. Oh, nice. So instead of having a remove slow, we just use a movement ability. So you don't have like the double cooldown, remove the slow and then do something else. You just do the skill, it goes away. It's 2 in 1. Coordination, all your abilities cost 5 less mandate. Judgment Blade. 75 action points, 3-second channel. I don't remember seeing an attack channel before. Deals 12% melee attack power, 160 elemental damage per second to target enemy. This damage is increased by 50% per active command you have. So if you have 100 mandate, you can do 1, 2, 3, and then do Judgment Blade, and do 150% more damage. That's easy to do once. I mean, you're going to have the mandate, especially at the beginning of a fight, because you lose 2 every time you hit, unless you equip the tactic that, I don't know if this guy has it, I don't remember if we read it, because the tanks do get a tactic where if you're attacked, you don't lose mandate. Oh man, so many interesting builds. Judgment Blade, we got Runefang, passive. You gain 10% outgoing damage for 8 seconds after using a command. This can stack up to 1 time, so you can stack that up to 4 times. So you get 40% outgoing damage, depending how many commands you can cast. Summon the Elector is the same. Into the Bridge, 35 mandate, new aura. Blessing for 8 seconds for the group mates. They will gain 20% increased movement speed. And for 60 seconds, they will dispel the next ensnare or rooted applied to them. Oh, that is nice. Because like that is a nice aura. You cast this one, because the tanks don't have this. This is offensive support, right? So one of the tanks can cast all the shielding and defensive. The other one can cast all the offensive to the corresponding groups, of course. But then you can have a group with this, with offensive support, where you can give them speed to run through a funnel faster and remove without doing anything the next ensnare or root, so they can just keep moving, at least for a little bit. Hey, good morning, Frankie. I'm good, dude. I'm good. Just looking at the Empire classes here for Interbellum server. So that is an offensive support. So overall, this is what we could say or consider a DPS tank. Still 200 as the glittering steel tank. So just so you know how I know they're offensive or whatever, I don't know if it's clear on your screens, but on the icon it says tank, O is an O sub, or offensive support. So we have a defensive tank, gives auras with defensive stats to the group. We have an offensive tank, if you like, where the auras are more buffing the damage of the group. And then we have a support, which is somewhere in between those two. You have a little bit of defense, a little bit of offense to buff everybody, and your damage output is a little bit higher than those two. So overall, not too bad.
Excellent!
Hey, thanks for the Prime, dude. Appreciate the support, Frankie. Thank you for the 22 months, man. Thank you for using your Prime here. Your Prime sub. Thanks. Appreciate it. You've played last night. What? Warhammer. Did you? I played last week a little bit, but I don't know. I'm waiting for this one. But later on, we're going to be playing No Rest for the Wicked. We're going to continue our adventure there. So, guys, this concludes the night as well.